Kodem poskim b'chod hachsanya. I would like to thank Rabbi Marwick and Shomrei Amuna for hosting Torah Together tonight and really from its inception about 8 years ago. I would like to also thank the sponsors of tonight's programs, Oren and Esty Hirschman, Yankee and Leah Katz, Ruvain and Leah Klein, Chaim and Aviva Wheelcatch, and anonymous donors. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Torah Together is a personalized Chavrusa-based program designed to enable Jewish women of all learning levels to strengthen and advance in their Jewish knowledge. Whether one has an interest in acquiring specific skills, wants to build on her Jewish knowledge base, or even wants to be able to help with her child's Limudei Kodesh homework, she is matched with a carefully selected Torah partner, for an hour a week of study and discussion. And I'm a pretty good shotgun. It usually works out very well. The learning takes place here at Shomrei at 8 o'clock on Wednesday evenings. One-on-one learning in a group setting allows for more excitement while also building a friendship with one's partner, as well as with the participants of the program. And I must say that invariably, it is a win-win for both sides of the partnership. Anyone who's interested in being a partner or a mentor, please contact me. The information is on the bookmark you received coming in. And there's a table outside, or maybe we'll put some over there also. Tonight, we are honored to welcome Roy and Leah Neuberger. Some of you know them personally, and many of you have read Roy's books, his first book being Central Park to Sinai. And tonight you will get a taste of Roy's latest book, Together Forever. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Leah is not only Roy's wife, but is also the first editor of his books. The books will be on sale outside the hall and autographed by the Neubergers. Roy and Leah Neuberger have inspired audiences around the world with their journey from a non-observant upbringing to a life of Torah and mitzvos and outreach. Married over 60 years, they share timeless practical wisdom on building strong, lasting relationships through 12 principles, drawn from both personal experience and decades of teaching. Get ready for a warm, entertaining, and informative evening. It is now my pleasure to introduce Roy and Leah Neuberger.
Now I have to say something, right? Okay. I'm going to do my best. Thank you, everybody, for coming on a rainy night. You know, in Yerushalayim, every drop of rain is a bracha. So it is. It's a direct from Shemayim. Direct from Shemayim. I just want to say that we're not new to Baltimore, that I've davened in this shul many times, and we have maybe, I imagine several people here at least knew Reb David Hess, and he's our mechutin. He's our mechutin, and Reb David's son lives very close to us in Yerushalayim. So we have a lot of connections with Baltimore, and we have many wonderful friends. We have many wonderful friends here. It's a very big honor to be here. It's a very big honor to be here. So a few years ago, Reb Doron Kornbluth is the co-publisher of Mosaica Press, a Jewish book publisher. And Mosaica Press published one of my books, Hold On, Surviving the Days Before Mashiach. So Reb Doron called me, and he told me, you know, I know so many people, not young couples, older couples that have been married 20 years, 25 years, they're getting divorced. Such a tragedy. such a tragedy. You should write a book on Shalom Bayis. And so we started trying. It was actually very difficult. I wasn't sure how to do it. We tried many different ways. We tried writing it together, actually, and we got into such fights that we decided, I don't know, this is not, it's not so good for Shalom Bayis. So it didn't work out. And I really, I was, each book, I could digress on this endlessly. I've written a few books. The first book I tried to write for like 30 years, and it didn't happen. And then came a time when all of a sudden it was the right time. And I was able to write it from Central Park to Sinai, How I Found My Jewish Soul. And just 1 second, Leah, I just want to. Yeah. Okay. So I figured out how I wanted to write it. I'll just briefly tell you our story because it's relevant to how this book got written. So we had an interesting life. I describe it very, very, does anybody mind if I take off my jacket? Well, it's okay. We're all mishpacha here. Yeah. I get all excited when I speak, and then I get warm, and then I take off my jacket. Okay. So I grew up in Manhattan. There's the Upper East Side and the Lower East Side. The Lower East Side, especially when I was a kid, was the heart of Yiddishkeit. Where Moshe Feinstein Zatzal was on the Lower East Side. The Upper East Side was exactly the opposite. Many, especially German Jews, came to America, and there was a tremendous rush to assimilate into American society. And I grew up on the Upper East Side of Manhattan among a group of people who were just running as fast as they could away from being Jewish. They were embarrassed. And we were part of that. My family was part of that. The biggest day of the year for me was, December 25th. That's how we grew up. No bris, no bar mitzvah, no Rosh Hashanah, no Yom Kippur, no Pesach, garnished, nothing. Okay, it's a whole story in itself, and if I go into it, we're going to be here, till for hours. I'm not going to do that to you. But suffice it to say that something inside me, I couldn't take it. I couldn't live like that. Spiritually, I couldn't take it. I'll just tell you, actually, my mother's maiden name was Salant. We didn't know what that meant. My grandfather told me when I was a little boy, we come from a famous rabbi, Israel Salanter, and who's that? And I wasn't interested. I wish that I had asked questions then that I never asked, but okay, can't undo time. But my mother had this Salanter neshama, and she was never at peace in this super affluent world of the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And I inherited that, and I was never at peace, and I had to look for something. I had to breathe. I felt like I'm starving, I'm dying. I'm not exaggerating. I felt like a spiritual slave, like Mitzrayim. And I spent 30 years of my life looking for a way to live. In high school, it wasn't a yeshiva. Believe me, I never heard the word yeshiva. So I met my wife. That's why I say we go back a few years. We met in high school, and we got married when we were both students at the University of Michigan. And I just got nervous, like I'm about to get most. Oh, what did I say wrong?
Just talk.
Okay. See, that's what they call Ezer Kenegdo. Anyway, so we got married when we were college students. So it's been a while. So that's why Doron, Rabbi Kornblue thought, maybe they know something about marriage. Believe me, I have no idea if I know anything about marriage. One of the reasons I wrote the book is maybe I could find out something, learn to make it work. The fact is, we all know, I think, everything in life is a process. And it never ends. It never ends. Somebody said, why aren't you, you should speak to young couples about this. Not true. It's a lifelong process. Everything. The whole life is a spiritual journey. And we all know the Yetzer Hara is very busy, and the Yetzer Hara is very, very brilliant. Never gets tired, and it's lifelong. But Shalom Bayis goes also beyond marriage. Beyond marriage. We're coming up to Shavuos, counting the Omer, counting the days. When we stood at Har Sinai, so how do we get to Torah? Rashi says, K'ish echad b'lev echad. We had to have Yachdus, and Am Yisrael had to be together. In my humble opinion, this is our biggest need right now. We need Shalom Bayis in Am Yisrael, not just in the home, but in Am Yisrael. Nobody's saying, everybody knows, every Shevet is different. Every Jew is different, everyone's different. But we're one mishpacha. We come from mishpachas, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. We're one family. We need Shalom Bayis. The original Gullus in Mitzrayim happened. Why? The brothers, Yosef and his brothers, they sold him, and they went right straight into Gullus, into Mitzrayim. That's what. So that is Shalom Bayis is a basic concept that all of Am Yisrael we all need to work on. It's also very well known. Before October 7th, 2023, was such division in Eretz Yisrael, demonstrations, bitterness, fighting. It was very embarrassing to in front of the whole world to see the fighting among Am Yisrael. And a lot of our enemies said, specifically when they were interrogated, that encouraged them. That encouraged the whole thing that began in Gaza on October 7th was encouraged by the lack of Shalom Bayis in Am Yisrael. This could be the greatest challenge we face right now, because it's very clear, nobody likes us out there. The whole world, really, we're not too popular in the world these days. It doesn't matter, because Hashem is with us. But we need Achdus. We need Achdus. That's what Hashem wants of us. Yeah. It says, famous Gemara, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, Talmidei Chachamim increase peace in the world. All your children will be students of Hashem, and your children will have peace. And Shalom Aleichem. A very highly a family member just walked in. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Okay. Thank you for coming. So, it's not just in the family. It's in the whole world of Am Yisrael. Whole world of Am Yisrael. There's a very well-known psychologist, counselor, very well known, named Rabbi Shimon Russell. He wrote a book called Raising a Loving Family. And he says something really incredible in this book. I think it's really incredible. It shakes you up. Quote, I'm quoting him, quoting Shimon Russell. I saw in the Maharal that a husband and wife were made by Hashem, ready? Not to get along naturally. Not to get along, I'm repeating that, not to get along naturally. It's our nature, apparently. This is, husbands and wives, different people. And marriage is the closest of all relationships. I'm going to repeat it. Husbands and wives were made by Hashem. This is from the morale. Not to get along naturally. First of all, I want to tell you, I think it's a very heartening concept. Why? Because, when I start fighting with by the way, it does happen every few decades, my wife and I have a fight or something. I'm glad you got a joke. Okay, fine. It's not decades. But, sometimes he's like, what's wrong with me? Like, we're supposed to be, yeah. So Rabbi Russell says that he counsels young couples, and they say to him, Rabbi Russell, okay, that's, most people are like that, but we're, doesn't apply to us. And Rabbi Russell says to them, okay, come back in a year. Let me know if you still say that. A year later, okay, Rabbi Russell, you were right. So if we know from the beginning that there's a built-in challenge, so then we'll know we have to work on it. It takes strategies. It takes effort. It takes resilience, like everything else in life. Life is a whole process of working on ourselves, right? I mean, the whole Muslim movement arose because Rabbi Shol Salanter saw the need. We have to work on ourselves. We have to work on it. And we can. The beautiful thing is we can. On Yom Kippur, we don't say, to Hashem, oh, it was his fault, We say, Hatasi, Achet, it's me. But the beautiful thing is, if it's me, if it's I guess that's better grammar, right? If it's I, so it means I can do it. I can do it. I have the power to change myself, to work on myself. I have the power. And by the way, it's such a basic concept in marriage. Also, it's like the Yom Kippur concept in marriage. Like, if everything is my wife's fault, then you're not going to get too far, because it doesn't work that way. But I can change myself. I can do it. And that is it, and it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be straight, and it's not going to be. There are going to be pitfalls and failures. Today I said something. I told my wife, why did I say that? I really regret it. I was very upset with myself, and then I realized, it's life. Every day I see it. I'm not living up to my own standards for myself. But if I'm the one who's responsible for improving things, so then I have that power. I can do it. Okay. So, yes, what am I supposed to say next? Yeah. So marriage is like, you could say, the test tube. It's the closest relationship. This is the place where all these issues really come to the fore. And that's why marriage itself is a tremendous challenge. I want to tell you, a few years ago, just before Tisha B'Av, somebody sent me a video. I don't know who sent it. It was a short video, about 6 minutes. If anyone's interested, I can forward this to you. I have it on my computer. There's a Rabbi, Rafal Rubin. I've never met him. He's in Netanya, I believe. And he made the video. And I really, when I saw this video, I thought, I don't know, it sounds like I'm listening to Mashiach. It was so beautiful. He ended with a very powerful story, very powerful. This is how he ended. A young man comes to his rabbi, Rabbi, you know, I'm always failing with Lashon Hara. I make up my mind, no more Lashon Hara, and then I mess up. Then I mess up. I can't do it. So the rabbi says to him, let me ask you a question. You speak Lashon Hara about your father? No. Why not? Like, your father's perfect? No. So why don't you speak Lashon Hara about your father? Because I love him. That's the answer. If you loved every Yid, you'd never speak Lashon Hara. If you loved every Jew, you'd never speak Lashon Hara. There's a halacha, actually. It's really, like every halacha, it's not at all simple to implement, but we're really supposed to have in our kavana every time before we daven to love all of Am Yisrael. Then the davening works. It's a big thing. I'm not saying I remember it every time, but I should. And it changes one's whole attitude. So I told you about my life. So when I met my wife in high school, I told you wasn't the yeshiva. I never heard the word yeshiva. I didn't know what a yeshiva was. And we went to this.
Get to the top.
Is it? What do you mean? Who is this? Why is it?
You're
Please.
digressing too much.
I am not. It's right. See what I mean? Okay. I'm not actually digressing. This is so part of the topic. So in high school, if she starts throwing things at me, you'll understand. Okay. So, yeah. So I was the manager of the basketball team. You can imagine I wasn't a basketball player. I'm a little guy, and I'm like 100 feet below the basket. But I was the manager. That's not a fancy job, by the way. I handed out the towels. I did the thing that makes the score change on the board, whatever. Anyway, but I was part of it, and we had an amazing season that year. We were 17-1, 17 victories, 1 loss. We were the city champions in New York City in basketball. And we had a victory party. And it's amazing because the victory party, I invited that was like our first date. There are endless stories. But we had the coach of the team was a young college student, not Jewish, very bright, very motivating. And he had a saying that I remember to this day. I use it in my first book. It's a beautiful saying. Maybe, I don't think he didn't invent it, but it's a beautiful saying. If you think you're ripe, you're rotten. If you think you're green, you're growing. It's beautiful. You think you're ripe, you're rotten. Don't ever think you made it. I made it on the top. No good. We have to, if we think we're green, so we're going to work on ourselves. And with that motivation, we had a 17-1 season. And but it's a beautiful. I have a friend in where I daven in Yerushalayim, Rabbi Green, and every time I see him, I said, Rabbi Green, if you think you're green, you're growing. Rav Moshe Feinstein Zatzal had a Talmud, this is a very powerful story. I saw this in the Art Scroll biography of Rav Moshe Feinstein Zatzal. He had a Talmud who said, Rebbe, I wish so much I were like you. You know, Rebbe, you have this placid personality. You never lose yourself. You're always so calm. You know exactly everything you're saying, you're doing at all times. I wish I were like you. And Ramosha said to him, you think that's my personality? I want you to know I have a worse temper than you have. But I worked on myself my whole life. I worked on myself my whole life. Okay, we can all do it. We can all do it. Okay. I want to tell you how the book is organized. It's organized in 48 short chapters. The latest, this is my book, the latest book I wrote called Together Forever, Torah Strategies to Make Marriage Work. I told you, I didn't know how to write this book. We tried all different ways, nothing worked, and I gave up on it. This has many things happened. I gave up. All of a sudden, I was looking at the mission Pirkei Avos that lists the 48 midos of a Talmud Chacham, the 48 qualities that a Talmud Chacham should have. And it struck me that Talmud Chacham has a particular relationship with Hashem, has to be on a certain level, his personality, to become a Talmud Chacham. And that how that relationship could also be applied to marriage. Relationship between the Talmud Chacham and Hashem. So I took the 48 midos listed in Pirkei Avos, and I applied them to marriage. And that's the chapters, 48 short chapters. So let's be a little specific. I want to tell you some examples. First, the first midah, you'll see Pirkei Avos also, first midah, study. Obviously, Talmud Chacham is studying all the time. How does study apply itself to marriage? So, you know what? A lot to study in marriage. Say there's an argument, a fight, a disagreement, a bitterness. Don't run away from it. Study it. Think about it. What went wrong? Not what did she do wrong, by the way. What did I do wrong? Because as I said before, it's very difficult. No, not difficult. It's impossible to change somebody else. You can't do it. You can't do it. And besides that, most of the time our ideas about what's wrong with somebody else are really about what's wrong with me. But me, I could change. Me, I could change. Study. What did I say wrong? What did I do wrong? Don't run away. Study the situation. And by the way, I think we all know, there really is Shalom Bayis means Shalom Bayis. It means Shalom. When you have a feeling of Shalom, so you're at peace. I mean, that's what it means. And when there's Shalom, not Shalom Bayis, it hurts. It's painful. There's a divide. There's a separation. It hurts. It hurts. Why should we have that feeling of pain in our home? Why should we have that feeling of pain? If that feeling is there, what can I do? Maybe I said something. Maybe I did something. So study it. Study what's going on. Take responsibility. And very basic, don't discuss things if you have something to discuss and it's like a hot moment, there's an argument, there's a fight. Rebbetzin Esther Young Rice, may she rest in peace, always used to say, zip your lip. Zip your lip. Cool down. Go to sleep on it. Usually, the next morning, you can't even remember what the fight was about. I mean, that's usually the way it is, right? What did we fight about? I can't even remember. When you're calm, you can discuss something. When you're hot and you feel the anger, it's all going to come out wrong, and it's going to worsen the problem. So do anything to cool off, splash water. But time is usually the best thing. Time. Wait till the next morning. Wait till the next day. If you still remember what there is to discuss, good. Then discuss it while everyone, when the feeling of anger is gone, then you can discuss it. Number two. There are two big words that I find very useful. I've said them many times in my life. They're called, no, they're three words. I am sorry. I'm sorry. Goes a long way. I'm taking responsibility. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have acted that way. I'm sorry. I mean, we're all humans. I'm sorry. It really helps. And I don't know what the textbooks say, but sometimes I have to say I'm sorry a lot. And that's the truth. I am sorry. It really changes the whole atmosphere. The second chapter is called attentive listening. We have to listen to each other. We have to listen to each other. I'm just going through a few chapters at the beginning to give you the idea of how the books are organized. Attentive listening. That's the second midah of a Talmid Chacham. Goes for learning, goes for marriage. I don't want to offend anyone here, but there is a certain very dangerous weapon that all of us, almost all of us, maybe all of us carry around with us these days. It's called the cell phone. The cell phone is, I think, public enemy number one. I'm not saying I don't use it. I definitely use the cell phone, although I don't like to use it in public. But the cell phone is a deadly enemy. I think we can all remember instances. For example, a couple sitting at a restaurant, two people at one table. Are they talking to each other? No. They're on their cell phone. Two people sitting in the park on a bench. Cell phone, not talking to each other. This is deadly. This is deadly. I probably was a mistake when we lived in the 5 towns of Long Island. I used to walk to shul, and one day I was walking, and I see a young mother wheeling her child in a carriage, and she's on the cell phone. Okay, I should have said nothing, but I didn't. I said, excuse me, but I think that maybe the child would like to be with you instead of having you a million miles away on your phone call. Well, she didn't appreciate it. And I can understand. I probably, whatever. But the emes is, I think it's true. You don't realize you're with your child. How many times have you seen it? Father walking, holding the child's hand on the phone. So I'm going to say something that's a little, again, provocative. I'm sorry, Michiel, I ask your forgiveness, but I think it's amazing. There's a halacha, an Eved Ivri, a Jewish Eved, Jewish slave, after 7 years goes free. If he loves his master, so he can stay. So what happens to him? He has to go to they drill a hole in his ear. Okay, that's the halacha. Drill his hole in the ear. in his ear. I see people, excuse me, forgive me, but I see people walking on the street with this metal thing in their ear. And my thought to myself is, it's an Eved Ivri. It's a slave to the cell phone. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be whatever, but I don't think we realize how enslaved we have become to this whole part. It's whole part of the culture of Edom, where we live. We're immersed in it. It's extremely dangerous, and it's extremely dangerous to relationships. When people are on the cell phone, they're a million miles away. We all know that, people have lost the art of communication. Why? Because people many times don't communicate. Communication is the essence of marriage. We're working. Rebbetzin Young Rice always used to say, there's this cliche, couples should look at each other's eyes and see stars, and even better, even more than that, she always used to say, they should look in the same direction together. They should be involved in a mission together. Baruch Hashem, my wife and I work together. All the things I do, we do together. She edits my books, my articles, and we speak together. And Baruch Hashem, we're embarked on this journey together. It's a beautiful thing, and it inspires us. It's a beautiful thing. It inspires us. But for this, I have to have communication, speak together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Listen. We want to speak to each other's heart, right? We want to speak to each other's heart. The heart is where the love of Hashem comes from, and the heart. It says in Shema, we shouldn't go after our eyes and our heart. But if we direct our heart up, then we can inspire ourselves to do the right thing. Oh, yeah, I turned the wrong direction. Okay. Speaking, the art of speaking to each other. One thing we found, I tell you from personal experience, it's a very bad thing to someone's in the next room, if you speak to each other, look in each other's eyes, read the person's emotions, feeling, speak to your wife, speak to your husband, not to someone's back or someone, hey, in the next room. Don't think I don't do it. I'm not saying I don't do it. I do it plenty of times, but it doesn't work out. Connection's connection. It's something to work on. Look at each other. Study each other. My wife always says she can tell how I am feeling by looking at my back. She can tell from the back how I'm feeling. Speaking to each other face to face is a tremendous, tremendous art. And we have to respond to each other the way we really are. And I just want to add one more thing. Sometimes I know that, I'm just going to give an example. Sometimes if we're having a lot of people for Shabbos, for example, and my wife is like, oh, I'm so behind, I can't make it. I'm just not going to be able to do it. There's so much to do. So we can encourage each other. Listen, you didn't know how many times you said this, and it always worked out. Always worked out. As somebody said the other day, the first thing to do is, get out the potato peeler and, help. So help her already. Right, 100%. The other thing, encourage each other. You're going to be just fine. I can remember 15 times when you said, I'll never make it. And everything was so beautiful. It was such a beautiful Shabbos. It worked out perfectly. We have to, this world is not so simple. It's a tough world, a lot of challenges, a lot of challenges. We need to give each other chizuk. We need to give each other chizuk. Third chapter, reverence. Reverence. Talmud Chacham has to have reverence. Husband and wife have to have reverence for each other. I mean, a home is a mikdash me'at. It's a holy temple. There has to be Shalom Bayis in the Beis HaMikdash. There has to be Achdus. And the same thing in the home. And the same thing in the home. It's very important to remember. Hashem created Adam from Adamah, from dirt, from dust, and Chava from Adam. The woman is, by definition, on a higher madrega of Ruchnius. Rebbetzin Young Rice, to quote her again, always used to say that a woman can daven, she can speak to Hashem while she's washing the dishes. It's not a joke. It's true. But a man has to go to minyan 3 times a day. A man is, because a man is on a lower level, so he has to bring himself up more. Men need more discipline than women. And it's very, I think, important for us to respect that level of ruchnius in our wives. I know that I try to have this in mind every Friday night, Eishes Chayil. I try to take it very seriously. I found the bencher where, I like it, especially since I never spent a day in yeshiva in my life. I need to know the words. And there's a very beautiful, Art School just put out an interlinear bencher, and where every word is translated. And these words are so powerful. We're singing Eishes Chayil, talking about our wife, Eishes Chayil. And by the way, I'll add also, Shalom Aleichem, not to be glossed over. Those malachim that come Friday night, we need them. Who doesn't need malachim? I mean, I can't tell you the number of times, anyone who drives, I've had so many near accidents in my life. Like 1 second, and it could have been chas v'sholom, the malach saved me. We need those malachim. So our kavanas, when we're saying these things, are so important. I davened in the 5 towns in Lawrence by a very chashuv Rav Kalish, that's all. And we went several times to his home for Sudas on Shabbos. After every benching, he was unique. After every benching, he had a song. He would sing his wife. 4 words. Same song. Every meal. After every benching. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. That's what he said. Every single Suda. You think she got tired of it? No way. No way. Because she knew it's min halev. She knew he meant it. Thank you very much. Is that beautiful? A lot of work goes into those Sudas, into making the Kedusha of Shabbos. Thank you very much. I will never forget it. I can hear him singing it. Yeah. Okay. So, that's an example of some of the chapters. That's how the book is organized. So now it's my wife's turn to speak. Now you're going to hear the emes. And I just want to say, the world started in Gan Eden. Adam and Eve were in Gan Eden. And the fact is that I think it's a realistic, I know Reb Shamshon Fall Hirsch, Zatzal, said that it's a real practical goal on the part of Am Yisrael. We should return to Gan Eden. We should return to Gan Eden. Be'ezus Hashem, I want to give everybody, including myself, ourselves, my wife and I, a bracha that we should be able to see Gan Eden or get as close to it as possible. We're all Basar V'Dam, we're all human beings, but try to bring that Gan Eden into the house, and all of Am Yisrael should see that condition of Shalom Bayis. Be'ezus Hashem, the way the world is going now, the insanity of the world, the chaos, the hatred, the anti-Semitism, it's all Chazal and the Nevi'im all say that this is what it's going to, they told us a long time ago, it's going to be like this before Mashiach. We must be very close to Mashiach and David right now. And Be'ezus Hashem, we should all see that day when there's Shalom Bayis and Am Yisrael. We see the Beis HaMikdash together. Okay, and now you'll hear the truth. Okay.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here. Baltimore has the nicest, best people. We got to know Baltimore because of our wonderful relationship with our daughter married Avi Hess, David and Chaya Gitti's a son, and we were here several times, and it's very special. So the midos that are talked about in our new book, Together Forever, they all come together. It's not just one at a time. I mean, and for example, to be calm and to use your intuitive understanding, and to have a good heart and to see into the other person's heart and care about their happiness. This all comes together. Attentive listening, it's all part of the whole beautiful relationship that we can build with our spouses. When our spouse talks to us, so often people are so stressed and so pressured by all they have to do that they can't take their eyes out of their phone just to look up and pay attention. But attentive listening requires you look at the person and really listen. It's an art to listen, just to listen to a person. It's amazing how this can build a beautiful relationship. Sometimes a person is upset about something and wants to talk to you and get it off his or her chest. And just to listen to the person, but really listen, not be distracted, look in the magazine, look in your phone, whatever. That makes the other person, your spouse, feel better that you're listening to them. Maybe your spouse does not have an actual practical solution to what you're upset about, but just to listen to you, and then it seems so much lighter and less burdensome, this burden that they have on them that they don't know what to do about it. If you listen and care, as it says, to have a good heart and care about the other person, then it can do so much for the relationship. A good heart involves judging other people favorably. Very often, when we criticize other people, we're really seeing our own faults in that person, not wanting to recognize them in ourselves. So in marriage, of course, we have to try to focus on how we can rectify our faults. And not to be arrogant is another midah of a Talmid Chacham. When a person is arrogant, they have no interest in anyone else's opinion. They think that they're better than everyone else. And as I said, they're probably seeing their own faults in the other person, but not, of course, not admitting it. And with intuitive understanding, which is another midah of a Talmid Chacham, we can tell, as my husband said, I can tell, seeing him from a distance, what his mood is, body language, just the way he stands, just the look on his face. Try to read the emotions of your spouse. And if your spouse is upset, try to make him or her feel better. If your spouse is happy, rejoice with her or him in the happiness. Our spouse's happiness is our happiness. There's also another midah, silence. There's a time to be silent and a time to speak. You shouldn't feel you have to be talking all the time. Let's say you take a walk together, which is a really good thing to do because you're putting your phone out of the way, you're walking, you're talking, but what if you don't have really anything to talk about? You shouldn't feel you have to talk every minute. Just to be together, walk together, enjoy the fresh air and the exercise and the beautiful world Hashem gave us. You don't have to be talking all the time. And as a matter of fact, people don't enjoy being with another person who's talking. We need silence and calm, and we can be together in the same room and not talking, but we're really together. There's another midah. A great Talmid Chacham loves rebuke. My husband writes in the book, quote, I do not love rebuke. So there are a lot of personal examples in the book and things like that, and a sense of humor. A sense of humor is absolutely so important for us to get through life, all the everyday stresses and problems and difficulties. If we have a sense of humor about it, then we can get through it. And it's my husband and I have so many private jokes between us, experiences we've had, people we've met, a funny way a person pronounced something, or we have actually a whole world we made up of, for example, let's say my husband does something that is annoying to me. He forgot to lock the front door, and actually we had a robbery a few years before that, and it's so important. So I say to him, do you know what Henry did? He forgot to lock the front door. We have a whole cast of helpers and servants, and if I don't want to ask directly my husband to do something that I think he might not want to do, I could ask him, you think Charles could do this errand for me? And it just makes everything so, you can laugh it off that you're under pressure and that you need something or you did something wrong. And we have a whole cast of characters that we made up. So if you have to give rebuke, it's something that is not a very common ability that people have today to be able to do it properly. But some important things to remember are to have a sense of timing, whether it's a good time to talk to your spouse about some matter that's a difficult thing to talk about. Make sure your spouse is in a mood that's calm, not in a stressed mood, a mood of being so under pressure and can't think about anything except what he's under or she's under pressure about. You have to make sure the mood is right to talk about anything important or difficult. And as I said, you can tell by the body language. If you see him like, or whatever it is, like some expression or a grimace, just try to make him calm down So just wait until you see that he has come down. But people in general have a built-in resistance to criticism. I saw a joke once in I'm not sure where it was, some publication, where a husband and wife are sitting on a park bench, and the husband says, I know I do not want constructive criticism. So it's not easy to hear any criticism, and we have to make sure that we do it, we give it with love, that the person knows that you love him or her, you care about him or her. If you have a constructive criticism, then it could be helpful to discuss it. But if you're doing it with anger, anger is so destructive. I remember Rebbetzin Youngreis used to say that if a person speaks in anger, it can cause scars that never heal. Worse than a physical scar, a physical hurt will heal eventually, but if you speak in anger, say words that are hurtful, this is something that causes damage. It could be forever, unless you do tshuva and apologize and try to show that you really didn't mean the things you say. We have to think of the consequences of our words and of our actions. Is it going to have a positive outcome? Is it going to help the situation? We speak in anger, we're not thinking clearly about that. And it could really hurt somebody else if you don't think. We wanted to allow time for questions. Does anyone have any questions so far? So I also wanted to mention that talking about Rebbetzin Youngreis so much, I don't know if you know our story, but we're both from all our parents Jewish, but we were not observant. We were assimilated Americans. We were Americans who happened to be Jewish. And then we met at a very young age and always felt something was missing in our lives. We have to live for something bigger than ourselves. You can't, if it's just materialism, you get this thing, you get that thing, and then you want the next thing. You're never satisfied. And we wanted to make the world better, and it has to be truth in the world. And we were searching and searching. And after many, many years of searching all kinds of ways to make the world better, and eventually starting to believe there could be a God. We had all Jewish friends. We had never met anyone who believed in God. But my husband called out one night after we'd been married a few years. We had gotten married in 1963, and in 1966 he called out, God, if you're there, help me. So we started to study all different religions. We weren't interested in our Judaism because we had gone to our friends' bar mitzvahs. They were Reform bar mitzvahs. There was a party and presents and delicious roast beef, and they never went back to synagogue again. So we thought Judaism was materialism. We didn't look into it. But after studying, we were major students, studying Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity. We were studying, and we, thank God, Baruch Hashem, our Yiddish and Neshamas, our Jewish souls told us, no, that's not it. That's not it. It's not right. We wanted to be normal people living in a community where we could have a meaningful spiritual life, raise our children with a meaningful spiritual life. But these other ways to get to the highest, you remove yourself from society. You be an ascetic, sit on a mountaintop and contemplate, or something like this. So Baruch Hashem, finally when we'd run out of other things to study, and we didn't know what to answer our 5-year-old daughter who was asking us questions about God, our friend took us, we asked him to take us to the nearest synagogue. Maybe there's something for Judaism. And it was Rebbetzin Esther Youngreis speaking. It was in 1974. And she told us what we had never heard before, that all our souls were at Mount Sinai, that we gave morality to the world, and we taught the world about God, and so all these wonderful things that she said about our way. And that's when we started studying with her, and it's a whole story. It's in the first book, From Central Park to Sinai, and then the Seltzer book. From Central Park to Sinai, How I Found My Jewish Soul. The story, this was written and published in the year 2000, so it's 26 years ago. So many stories about our changing our lives. We were 30 and 31 years old, married 11 years with 2 children, when we totally changed our lives from completely secular to a Torah life. It's never too late to make an important change in your life. Here we've been married so long with children, and at that age, we didn't know Aleph Beis. If you'd shown us an Aleph and a Beis, we couldn't have told you which was which. So this applies to marriage also. It's never too late. You shouldn't think, oh, it's hopeless. We can't change. I can't change. He can't change. She can't change. But we can. We really can. We daven to Hashem, and He helps us do it. And then there's a book. A book published by Art Scroll that Rabbi Nachman Seltzer, wrote about us. He interviewed us for many, many months, for many, many hours at a time, and recorded everything, because he wanted to bring the story up to date. He talks about early years also, of course, from a different point of view from, my husband, where he writes, in the last 26 years, we've spoken in 15 different countries, had so many amazing experiences, and it's in the book From Sinai to Yerushalayim that Art Scroll published a few years ago. So we have all the books here, and I'll just tell you quickly about each one. The second book my husband wrote is called World Storm, Finding Meaning and Direction Amidst Today's World Crisis. And this came out in 2003, but it's as relevant today as ever. It's a spiritual history of the world, from Bereshis to Mashiach. There's many Haskamas from Gedolim and very original insights. So it's also available if anyone wants it.
What? Okay.
Thanks. 2020 Vision is the next book. It's a novel that takes place in the year 2020. My husband wrote it in 2008. And it's full of Torah thoughts and amazing characters. And 2020 seemed so far away when it was published in 2008. And it's amazing what he predicted what the world will be like, the crazy world. 2020 with COVID and all going on, and people, he would walk down the street, like in the next years after 2020, and people called out to him, how did you know 2020 would be such a crazy year? He even said there's going to be a plague. Next. The next book is called Working Toward Mashiach. My husband, for 13 years, had a weekly article in Yated Naaman related to the Parsha and what's going on in the world, and also to the Yom Tovim and what's going on. So these are selected, the best one of each Parsha, in order of Parshios, a few pages on each Parsha. This is this book. The next book is called Hold On, Surviving the Days Before Mashiach. It gives so much chizuk to people, and we've gotten calls from some very chashuv people who say it changed their davening. He gives ideas of thoughts for each bracha of Shmona Esrei, and we really all need so much chizuk today in this very difficult world that we live in. And the new book, Together Forever, Torah strategies to make marriage work. As my husband said, we started to try to write it together. It was the publisher from Mosaic Press that asked us to do it. And my husband had all this philosophy and had all these practical examples, and it threatened our Shalom Bayis, as my husband said, to do it together. And then he got the idea to do it based on the midos from Pirkei Avos, and each chapter is based on that. And so my husband's the author of all the books. I'm the editor, but I did write a foreword for this book. So they're all available here at the table out near the front doors. And we'd be happy to sign them for you if you wish. And if you have any questions, somebody think of questions so far? Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Hashem should bless every one of you and every one of us in Klal Yisrael, that we should have Shalom Bayis in our marriages, in our friendships, in our family relationships, and among Klal Yisrael, all too.